Sexual acts happen on a day-to-day basis all around the world. Anal stimulation is something that a lot of people have thought about, but very few talk about or even act on it. The people who do act on it should be well educated, because anal stimulation presents different sexual dangers and could also affect the relationship with your partner if not addressed properly. But on the backside of that coin, anal stimulation also presents many benefits that should be addressed. Anal stimulation is a type of intercourse that involves the penis, manual and/or oral stimulation of the anus. There are many reasons why people choose to perform these sexual actions. For instance, a woman might use anal stimulation to avoid the chance of becoming pregnant. But more commonly, both men and women could discover it brings them to a new level of sexual pleasure they've never experienced before with just vaginal intercourse. Whether you decide to engage in anal stimulation or not, it is good to be educated on this subject if you're currently sexually active. There are many stereotypes today that surround the type of men and women who engage in anal stimulation, but in fact there's an anatomical reason that men, gay or straight, could possibly enjoy the act of anal stimulation. It happens to be the most effective way to reach the male G-spot. It is shunned by most men and labeled as an act that only homosexual men would engage in. Experimentation with anal stimulation and an open mind might change their mind and their sex life. Sexual dangers is a subject that I take very seriously. Anal intercourse presents the risks of unprotected intercourse and new risks, including but not limited to hepatitis, herpes, HPV, and many others. HPV is a common precursor to cervical cancer in women, and that is something I wouldn't wish on anybody. My older sister was HPV negative but was still diagnosed with small cell carcinoma of the cervix and had to undergo a radical hysterectomy, rendering her unable to bear any children. With that being said, it's always important to take all the necessary to avoid any sexual dangers if you're planning on being sexually active, whether you're a male or female. There's always risks out there and they should be addressed. When you decide to experiment with anal stimulation, it is highly recommended to start small. A well-lubricated finger inserted slowly is the best place to start. Once comfortable, it may bring more pleasure to use larger items such as a penis or one of the various sex aids on the market. Dildos were originally made for vaginal pleasure, but have been commonly used for anal stimulation as well. Always keep these objects used for anal stimulation cleaned before and after to avoid transfer of undesirable substances. Like I said earlier, most men reject the idea of anal stimulation to avoid the label of being a homosexual. The idea of not being in charge in a sexual situation and becoming the more passive receiver could possibly emasculate a man, understandably. What they don't realize is their sexual experience for them and their respective sexual partner can be brought to new heights with an open mind and educated yet safe experimentation with anal stimulation. Anal stimulation can be performed on yourself or with a partner. There are many dildos and other sex aids on the market that can be used to perform anal stimulation in private or on your sexual partner. Sex aids are starting to be used more commonly in couples rather than solely for masturbation purposes. So if you're curious if you enjoy anal intercourse, a purchase of one of these sex aids might be an easier way to explore your curiosity. It actually might be the best idea before you bring it up to your partner. It's not exactly my first conversation thought when I take a girl out to dinner. Over the last decade or so, anal stimulation has been explored more and more by heterosexual couples rather than homosexual couples. Many studies have been done, and there are a lot more people curious about the sexual pleasures of anal stimulation than most men and women would like to admit. The fact is that anal stimulation performed safely and consensually can bring pleasure to more walks of life than just homosexual men and the types of women we will deem brave. Anal stimulation should be approached like any other sexual act. It should be done safely and with the consent of all parties. After taking these measures to avoid any sort of sexual dangers, intercourse can be enjoyable for both men and women, regardless if it's men in bed with men, women with women, or any other combination you choose. Who am I to judge? The bottom line is proper safety measures need to be taken to ensure the safety and good time for everyone involved.